How are you?
I'm pretty good.
So the first question I wanted to ask you, what would be, tell me a little bit about your story and why did you want to become a swimmer?
Sure. So let's see. So I grew up. I mean, I learned how to swim really, really young. So I think by 1 year old I was swimming, and by 2 years old I could go about 50. Like I could swim 25 yards. So I could swim the other side of the pool.
Okay.
Which in today's day and age with all the crazy stuff that now might not be.
Yeah.
At the time, I mean, it was pretty young to be swimming that far. So, I learned to swim really, really young.
Okay.
And my parents thought, like, I remember when they told me, like, when I had learned to swim, they were like, oh, wouldn't it be crazy if he went to the 2020 Olympic Games?
Mhm.
So, it was, they always thought I'd probably end up being a swimmer. Now, I hated swimming. Like, my dad tried to get me into swimming when I was, I think, 6 years old.
Mhm.
And I remember just constantly missing events. I was just trying to play my Game Boy with everybody else.
Mhm.
Really wasn't interested. Didn't like practice. So I ended up wrestling for about 5, 6 years.
Okay.
And then I didn't start swimming competitively till about 15, 14, going on 15. Did the summer league for a year when we moved to a new town, and
Mhm.
to kind of like make some friends.
Mhm.
And I was tired of getting sixth place all the time.
Mhm.
So I was
Yeah.
like, told my dad, I'm like, I want to win. And from that point on, it was really kind of game over from there. To be honest, as soon as I joined like year-round swim, I was hooked.
Mm. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So I talked to AJ and he said you swam at Worlds. Which country did you swim for and why? Like, what was that experience like for you?
Yeah. So I swam for Puerto Rico for about 2.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up swimming for the United States. I went to the Junior Pan Packs for the U.S. in 2012.
Okay.
Was Olympic trial qualifier as well.
Nice.
And I switched to Puerto Rico. There's some more backstory to that, but I had switched to Puerto Rico around in 2014. And so I didn't get to go to Worlds. I had qualified for World Championships. I went to the Pan American Games, and then basically, like, again, I was supposed to go to World Championships. They had told me, they didn't really explain to me much what had happened. They just said, oh, we're dealing with some stuff with FEMA, so we're just not going to send you to World Championships because we got to, we don't want to upset them anymore. We want to, like, figure some stuff out. And I was like, sketchy, but I was like, okay, just let that ride out. And it ended up causing a much bigger issue down the road for the 2016 Olympics, where I actually got my credentials revoked. So this was kind of the beginning of that, but I did not know at the time. So, other than that, I mean, it was an amazing experience. Competing at that level internationally was like the dream. It was always what I dreamed of, being a professional swimmer. Definitely would never take that period of time back. It was amazing to be able to have a country behind you.
Mm-hmm.
It's much different than swimming for the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
And just it was like basically an entire island just like totally loves seeing you swim. Is there cheering you on? Like that's just like they were there at Pan Am's. I had a massive cheering section. It was awesome. Everybody, just thinks you're amazing, and like to have that, it's just nice. It doesn't matter how fast I would swim, like they all just like thought I was great. So it was like really, like it was very humbling, looking back on it now. And even though it was a very tough time in my life, I would go back and do it again 100 times.
So you said something about the 2020 Olympics. Were you training for this year's Olympics?
Yeah, I still am. So
okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I swim for the United States now. I had to switch back with everything that happened in 2016.
Gotcha.
But I am still training currently.
So I guess could you maybe expound on that? That's obviously a big goal, and I know like AJ made it to the 2016 Olympics. So would you say is that an attainable? Like you think you're is that a very high possibility that you will be in the 2020 Olympics?
Yeah, I mean, possibility.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, right? Do I believe that I am the fastest swimmer that's ever lived? 110%. Do I look at my capability and not in like just a egotistical way, but in the fact that like, I look at my speed in the water, my meters per second, what I know I'm capable of maintaining for a 50. And I know that at my best, do I think there's anybody else in the world that could stand up next to me and race me down the pool? Absolutely not.
Wow.
What that takes to be able to obtain that, I have no clue how long. I don't know when it'll happen. I don't know if it'll happen. I do know that the potential is there. But I also know that, people don't always reach their potential for a number of reasons. And so, for me, I don't for me, 2020 is not the end all be all. I do believe that if everything falls into place, I think that, I will definitely be a contender. I also understand that 0.001% of human beings will ever be an Olympic swimmer.
Wow.
You have better odds of winning the lottery multiple times than you do becoming an Olympic swimmer. So I think that's something that a lot of people don't understand. And you see this all the time, and you look at it, and you're like, wow, like most Olympians are kids. They're early 20s. And so it's something that I think a lot of people don't understand and put into perspective. Now, I've never looked at the odds and been like, oh man, I don't think I can do this. I have had times when I was like, I don't know if I have it in me anymore. I don't know if I have that killer instinct that I used to have. I don't know if I have like the drive anymore. That I have thought, but I've never thought that I didn't have what it took. And I think those are two very different things. Having what it takes to accomplish something, having the potential to be able to do something, and then having the discipline and the drive on a day-to-day basis. Basically, what you need is your least common denominator to be greatness. So motivation is not something that's always there. Motivation comes and goes, and I've had people ask, how do you stay motivated? The truth is, I'm not always motivated. And I would say, actually, most of the time, I'm not motivated.
Oh, yeah.
But what I did in my early years when I had this fire that nobody could put out was I developed discipline.
Yeah.
And I made my least common denominator greatness. So I'm at a point now where even when I'm not at my best, I'm still one of the fastest in the country.
Right.
And so what that does is it allows me to always be at that level, and all I really need is about 3 to 5 months of really, really amazing training to be, one of the very best. So it's always just about stringing that stuff together.
Yeah, so you say it like you sounded like you were getting a little emotional. So you're obviously very passionate about swimming and you're passionate about like your sport. Like what makes you get so emotional about it?
It's swimming has been a lot to me.
Okay.
It's been a lot of bad things to me. It's also been a lot of great things to me.
Gotcha.
And most people in the swimming world don't know my full story. They know bits and pieces of it. I'm not your typical swimmer. I mean, I've sold drugs. I've done copious amounts of drugs. I've been addicted at times. I have, I have had 2 children. I'm a single father. I've been through a divorce. I have been estranged from my family. I'm totally on my own. I've been borderline homeless. I've been broke. I've lost everything. I have had guns pointed at my head. I've been in houses I probably shouldn't have come out of. The things that I've been through, most people at my level have not. And so the one thing that's always been there is swimming. And never at any point in time throughout any of this madness did I ever believe I would stop swimming.
Mm.
There had been times when I was not swimming for sometimes a year at a time, but it never, like, in the back of my mind was always the next Olympics. In the back of my mind was always the next time I got up on the blocks. So, swimming has cost me a tremendous amount of pain, but it's something that I'm not ready to let go of. And, like I said, I do believe that there's greatness within me. And so for me, it's very hard to let something like that go until I have fully walked it out and been in a position where I'm like, okay, I've given everything that I have. I have done the absolute best I could do. I don't know if I could ever walk away, which is why I probably would still swim for the next 10 plus years. It doesn't, it's not, for me, it's not about winning. It's not about winning a gold medal. It's about me reaching my absolute best, and seeing what that will do. And if my absolute best is a gold medal, if it's a world record, then so be it. If it's third place at the Olympic trials, so be it. Whatever it ends up being, I need to know that I gave 110%, and that I didn't squander my gift.
So, like, if you made the Olympics, how would you use that platform as a means to like, glorify God? Like, how would you use that as a means to glorify God?
So I started doing that, years ago, and
Mm-hmm.
I have a business as well. I work with swimmers, I'm a swim technician, so I do consultations for coaches. I do swim clinics across the country. I've got clients all over the world that I work with, and I've started doing that now. I do that in my day-to-day life. So for me, whatever, like, there is no, like, what would you do when you get this platform? It's more of, I have a platform right now.
Okay.
If God chooses to place me on a bigger platform or chooses to put me, nothing changes.
Right.
I am who I am. You don't come around me and not get some Jesus on you. Like, you can't have a conversation with me without my faith being a part of that.
Nice.
Not in like a forcing it upon people way, but just like,
right.
It's who I am.
Like Tim
It's
Tebow.
in my day-to-day life. Yeah, just like Tim Tebow. Like, I might be not throwing scriptures at you, but like, you're gonna get, like, it's a part of my life. It's in my day-to-day. Like, you can't be around me without not getting it. So it's like, if they shove a microphone in my face, the only thing that comes out is what I live in my day-to-day life. And so I don't have to, like, try. I don't have to think up what I'm going to say. I don't have to fake it. I'm a perfect person. I have hurt a lot of people. I have done a lot of wrongs, but in my core, God is there. And it's what I do in a day. Like, I strive to be more Christ-like. I strive to have a better relationship with God on a day-to-day basis. And it really is, I can say truly, it's my center. And it always will be. And I would give up swimming, I would give up my job, I would give up everything if it meant getting closer to God. So, it's just, there is no, like, what happens if you get it? It's like, well, if I get another platform, then I get another platform. That's what God wants me to be. So
I think your story would be, like, really cool. I mean, like you said, if you don't get the Olympics, like, God's still using you as a platform. But, like,
yes.
say you make the Olympics, you by God's grace medal or something better. Like, maybe you wouldn't share your whole story, but like, what would you? It's kind of like it sounds to me like a redemption story. So like, how has God in swimming? Like, how did you come to know your faith and become a Christian? Like, how did swimming and God bring you to where you are today?
Sure.
Yeah.
So, I grew up, my dad became a Christian later on in my life. I think I was probably 13 or 14 years old. But at the time, it didn't really mean much to me. Even to this day, we don't have the best relationship. There was no change in him, really. So for me, it was a very poor representation of Christ. And it really led me to turn away. Because I'm like, well, I mean, you talk about this, we go to church, but it doesn't really, like, our relationship's no different from it. So what does that mean for me? But when I was at Clean River, which is where I, met the mother of my children, I got to this very, very low place. And the one thing that I did know through my family's going to church and stuff is that when I got that low, I knew who I needed, and that was God. I knew it was Jesus. I knew it was Jesus that I needed. And so that's when this fire kind of got lit. It was very messed up still coming the next few years after that. But, all along the way, I still knew what I needed. Any time I got low, I knew I needed to turn. And each time I fell and got back up, I got a little bit better. You know what I mean? And so it's there is no perfect repentance.
No.
There is no find Jesus, everything changes, you are radically reformed, no sin lives in your life. Oh, but that doesn't happen.
Right.
It didn't happen to a single apostle.
No.
It didn't happen to any of Jesus' disciples. And so when we look at it, and we have to understand that it is this constant walk, this constant reformation. It's always changing and developing. And so, I got to this low. There was this traumatic low. I share all the details of my story when I tell it. There is nothing that I really hide. And there's always a sense of prudence depending on who's in the audience. If there's small children, I might not get into extreme details. But I don't hold back a lot, only because people need to understand that this is real. This is real. People really go through this. And if you're going to sit there and call yourself a Christian, and you're going to accept the grace that you undeservingly got from God, then you need to also understand that that means accepting people that don't sin like you sin. Because my sin's really not different than yours. And when you look at me or you look at somebody and say, I don't know about that, their sin's a little bit, you're basically slapping Jesus in the face.
Yeah.
Because he died for your sins, and guess what? When you hate your brother, you're no different than the murderer who actually physically killed somebody.
Right.
When you lust after a woman, you're actually no different than the person who actually committed adultery.
Yeah.
Because Christ says you already committed adultery in your heart when you lust after a woman. You've already committed a murder in your heart when you have hate for your brother. So we look at our sins and say, well, I'm not quite as bad as that person. Well, you know what? None of us are truly good.
No.
And so we can strive to be holier, and we can strive for righteousness, and that's what we're called to do. And I've met some very holy people, but usually the holiest people come from quite traumatic stuff. And so I think it's I just like to get people, I like to shake it up a little bit, hey, look, because people all the time, they will applaud me and yada yada, and I do get that, and I'm listen, I know that you like what you see here, and I know that you enjoyed the swim clinic, I know that you enjoyed the inspiration that I give you, but you have to understand that that's not from me. That's from God. He gave it to me. He uses me as a vessel, but you also have to understand that the beauty that you see that I produce in the water, or that I produced for your swimmer, that also came out of a lot of trauma and a lot of pain. So I want people to understand that I only am where I am because of where I came from. And that if it wasn't for all of that, I wouldn't stand before you, the person that I am. And I want people to look at others and be able to love them, in a different way. Christ did hang around the hurt, broken people. And I think we forget that sometimes.
Yeah, I think I think the most recent example would probably be Kanye West, because everyone was oh gosh, yeah. He can't be a Christian, he's a horrible person or whatever. So, but I actually had a similar story. I grew up in the church. I knew about God. I did Christian stuff, but I was just a hypocrite, and basically almost walked away from the church. But then I went on a missions trip, and it basically changed my life. But so I have yours is probably a lot more intense because you had drugs and everything, but I kind of can relate to that. So
I get it, man.
Yeah.
And that's we all do. We all have our thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We all turn away from God, and we all use different things to fill the void. Ultimately, all of our earthly, fleshly desires are a craving for heaven. We were craving for that fulfillment that you only get through unity with God in heaven, that we will only get when we attain that. So it's like we all use different things, whether it's television, whether it's purchasing lots of clothes, whether it's, I don't know, whatever it is that we use, drugs, sex, whatever, gluttony, anything. I mean, you know, everybody uses something in place of Christ, in place of that unity that you only get through him. So, you know, it's like we all really have a story. Some people just deny theirs.
Right. Yeah. So did you actually swim with AJ, or were you kind of more? Were you like competing against him, or?
Yeah, I just met AJ because he swam for Lebanon.
Yeah.
And the country, we would just be in a lot of the same meets.
Okay.
So we met and we were racing and stuff. So, you know, through that we just kind of became friends, and he ended up also being a Christian, and we just always kind of kept in contact and roomed together a couple times. So yeah, I mean, it just kind of was a God thing. I mean, the way we met, because yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah. Because like he went to the Olympics in 2016. Do you look up to him at all, like as an Olympian, or do you kind of like, is he like a role model to you a little bit, or?
I mean, AJ's a brother. You know,
Okay.
AJ's definitely somebody that I would always stay in contact with. Somebody I would always, I would always kind of hope to be around.
Right.
You know, it's everybody that I've met through. There's almost nobody that I've met through swimming that I don't think about and that I don't look up to in some way.
Okay.
You know, I'm hard pressed to find any swimmer that I even you could look at the fastest swimmer in the world, and I'm probably not looking up to them because I'm like, well, I'm coming for you. So
yeah.
yeah. You know, there's no that, but
True.
you know, I mean, it's AJ's a great guy, and you know, it was even the fact that he thought about me for this interview. It was you know, it's an honor. So
yeah.
AJ always be a good buddy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because like this blog and everything, it's just kind of like God kind of just put it in my mind like to do it, and then I've just kind of gone with it. But yeah. So yeah.
That's the way to go, man.
Yeah.
That's the way to go. Listen when he talks.
Yeah.
Listen when he talks.
Yeah. But it's been a pleasure, and by the way, yeah, I'm gonna write it, and then. Wait, sorry. What is it like that you have a whole year to train for Tokyo?
I think, you know, just looking at, you know, always having more time to train is always good. You know, I would never, I would never be upset because I was given more time to train. I was not in a position where I was, you know, it doesn't severely impact my training cycle or anything. It's not like, you know, I know some people may have been in the process of coming down for a major meet, whether it was NCAAs or you know, mid-season championship meet, and then, you know, so that almost like you have to start everything all over again. But I wasn't really there, so it didn't really make a huge impact on me. If anything, it was definitely beneficial.
Okay. So the next question: how has the coronavirus changed your outlook at the games and swimming?
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, again, this isn't my first time being in this position. You know, in 2016, you know, my Olympic credentials were revoked due to no fault of my own, and you know, and that was, you know, days before the Olympics were starting. So, for me, this really is not a massive shock or impact. I'm not emotionally affected in any way by this. You know, for me, it was, if anything, I took it as an opportunity to build in my relationship with Christ, if anything. You know, I really took this as, you know, I was already kind of looking at it as, I was in a position where like I felt like swimming was impacting my faith a little bit, and it always kind of has in a way. But for me, I had some healing that needed to be done in my own life that was impacting my swimming and my ability to perform at my best. So I really look at this as an opportunity for me to heal and take some time and grow closer in my relationship with God and heal some, personal relationships and heal some wounds that, take time to heal. And so for me, I didn't really I honestly, there's no negative about this for me at all. Like there's literally, I'm not upset. I'm not worried in any kind of way. So yeah.
Okay. And then do you have anything else you'd like to add that maybe someone might want to know, or maybe some advice to people that are also, training, have a whole nother year to train?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is what, I have two things to say. One from a faith point, and, as a Christian, and, we have to understand, like, God doesn't care about sports. God does not care about how fast you swim. He does not care about how fast you run. He does not care about how much weight you can lift. He doesn't put us on this earth to be athletes. What God cares about is our relationship with Him. We are here on earth for, if you're lucky, 80 to 90 years. If you're really lucky, 100. So that is a blip in time when it comes to eternity. And a lot of people, I think, get very, and myself included, we get very stuck up on what's happening here on earth. And the truth is that when the reality is that when you get to those gates and God decides to judge you on your life, He's not going to say, wow, you swam so fast, come on in. What He's going to say is let me take a look at your works. Let me take a look at, did I know you? Do you have a relationship with me? Did you care about making money and, having a successful business or being a great athlete, or did you care about holiness and, ultimately maximizing your time spent with me? And so, for me, I've really liked to look at this, and I've understood that, like, God does not care how fast I swim. That is not our purpose on this earth. And so, it's really important as a Christian to understand that. And then as an athlete and as someone who wants to be successful in whatever it is that they do, we also have to understand that, successful people do not look at one particular time and say, yes, this is it, this is everything, this is where this all happens to me. That's what unsuccessful people do, because they're wrapped up in a moment and not in the process. And so when you train for the process, and when you love the process, then you can go forever. But when you are wrapped up in a moment, and you only do this for a moment, you only do this for a specific time, you only do this for the Olympics, you only do this for that championship near the end, well, when that doesn't come, you get very depressed. And it's very hard to continue moving when there is no, when everything is indefinite, or when you're not quite sure where things are going. But when you love the process, well, now all you've been given is a whole bunch more time for the process. And so, that's what real champions do. That's what real successful people do, whether it's in competition or business or, whatever it might be. So that's something really important to look at. And I think there's times where you may be better at that and worse at that. And I've had my fair share of times when I've not been looking at things in the right way. So, I'm not some perfectionist. It's, got it mastered, but these are the truths,
All right. I think that's all. That was good.